Welcome to the DNVR Avalanche podcast.
It was amazing.
I'm Eric. This is Rudo. We have AJ. We have Tiff. And like we saw on the screen there, the Avalanche and Nathan MacKinnon are coming home perfect. What a great start to the season. It's 3 big road games. We can talk about last night and then maybe nitpick a little bit on the road trip and go from there. I mean, what stood out to you, AJ? I know you got your studs and duds that were out there last night, last night.
Yeah.
But
not as late as normal. Got him.
Yeah,
got home fast.
Yeah, that was fast. Yeah.
Focused.
But and then he was screaming right before the show started. So here we go. I think he's ready to go today.
I'm ready to go every day, man.
Oh yes.
Come with my lunch pail,
Calm down, LOC.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like LOC.
I will take that. Thank you. I'm happy to be the LOC of DNVR. It works for me.
Yep.
Solid, reliable, occasionally fun. Doesn't like attention. This is a great comparison. I love this. No, I think last night going through it, the power play was worse than I realized. We knew it watching live because we were like, these are bad.
Yeah.
I did not realize that they got outshot 4-1.
They had one shot all night on the PK,
One
right?
shot on a power play. Now it's only 4 minutes of power play time, so it's not like tons here. But they gave up 4 shots on goal and they generated 1 with more players on the ice. That's a joke, man. That's a straight up joke. So that has to get fixed, especially because we saw the first game of the season. I really didn't have problems with the power play. There was like 1 in that game where I was like, that wasn't very good. But otherwise, I thought it was pretty solid. They scored, and their goal was awesome.
Yeah.
It's great play. And then in San Jose, the first one was good, and it got a little bit worse as the game went on. The 5-on-3 looked like they hadn't done a 5-on-3 in 6 months. It wasn't very good. And then the power play unit last night was bad, like unacceptably bad.
And we know that that's a big difference. I mean, if you look at that first game, it opens up with that McCarr goal, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it opens up the game a little bit, and then we see the San Jose game where you're playing well, but a power play goal could help and then loosen, a little bit of what's going on around the vibes of the team. But that was, you're right. I mean, that's something they got to fix, and it's early, right? It's 3 games in.
Of course.
And some new guys, right? I mean, some old guys, but also some new guys trying to figure out what's the perfect match, right? Rijo, solid on the faceoffs on the power play, but maybe a little suspect on his decision-making, right, Rudo?
On the power play in particular, Rijo really has looked actively bad. I think he's actively made the power play worse. I don't want to nitpick him too much because I do think the face-offs and his 5-on-5 play have been more than fine.
And he's been good in front of the net, too.
Yeah, even if the production isn't there, it's okay for now. It's going to have to come. But, the power play for him, I don't know. You might want to start tinkering a little bit with that top power play unit just to see what else you have out there. What
do you do, though? Because you do have him on there specifically to win a faceoff, but he also gives them that right-handed shot that they covet.
They do love a right-handed shot
in
on
that
the
middle
spot,
of that ice.
for sure.
They have one guy on the left. They've got one guy on the right. So, like, if you were to move Rijo off, let's just entertain this idea that now MacKinnon is taking that faceoff on the right side, or you're just throwing a lefty over there. That's fine. But what do you do?
Yeah, so I go back to the start of last year before Val's ankle injury. Him and Mikko were working that give and go with Val in the middle really, really well on that right side.
Okay.
So that's what I would try in the immediate.
And just live with whatever happens on faceoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have Mikko and Mac, they're not going to win a ton, but they're not going to lose. At least Mikko's not going to lose all the time on the one side that you have. But
and Mikko has his, he's got his nights, man, where it's just... Sometimes the guy wins faceoffs, and you're just like, all right, whatever. I'll take a 6 out of 8 night, whatever.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that the Avs get away with, right? Because of how unbelievably good MacKinnon is at getting you into the zone.
Yeah, which was the problem last night.
Yeah, it was bad.
They couldn't, the one clean entry that MacKinnon got, he drops that puck to Ryan Johansson, who looked shocked that the puck was
Anywhere
him.
near.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't expect this to happen. I'm the 5th highest paid player on the ice right now. I didn't think I was going to be.
Why do I get the puck?
Yeah, why am I here? So it was not a great moment for him there. But
speaking of not touching the puck on the power play, I mean, I can tell you a story back then with Mark Crawford when I was playing here. I wasn't a power play guy, but Crow was really quick on the eject button for some guys.
Having a bad night.
Yeah, you're having a bad night, AJ. Okay, you're not going. Eric, you're going. I don't remember who. Let's say Valerie Kaminsky, world-class player. Okay, Val, you're not going. Eric, you're going. Then he would lean in my ear and be like, if you touch the puck, I swear to God, you are not touching the ice the rest of the game. You are going in front of that net, and that's it. And then guys used to be like Joe Sakic. They'd hear and they'd give me the puck, and I'd be like, I don't want the puck. I don't want the puck. I don't want that.
you're like kicking it back.
I don't want that.
Whoa.
So it's funny you're saying that about, hey,
That's
I'm the
funny.
5th best player. I'm not touching the puck. But you're right. I mean, there is an adjustment period. That's why it's early. It takes a few games to, right?
We saw some of that beyond Ryjo too.
For sure.
Lekkonen multiple times, not last night, but the game before.
Yeah.
He was every time that guy pulls the trigger. When you have MacKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar on the ice, you're kind of going, "Is that really the choice you want to be making right now?"
It's like that's a good scoring chance. Take the shot. It's fine, but damn it.
and the one thing we can't be not satisfied with is the second unit because they've really had the crummy ice. I mean, they haven't had in those 3 games. They haven't had. I remember yesterday was like 10 seconds one time.
Yeah, I don't even think about the second unit as
right
part
now,
of
yeah.
Like they even the one shift that the second power play, they got the thing set up. It was right at the end, so it didn't matter. But like they at least got the zone and got set up, which is more than you could say about the top unit last night.
Yeah, and it's early, and it will take a few games. And then on the flip side of things, the PKs look awesome, right? It starts with Georgiev, and then obviously some new elements, off-season acquisitions.
I mean, they've all been great. Zero complaints about anyone on the PK, to be honest with you. I think Ross Colton has been, not just for face-offs, which he actually hasn't been great at, but...
On the PK specifically?
Okay, fair enough. But his defense is the part that's really impressed me, to be honest. When they set up with Colton as the high forward in the zone on the PK, he's a monster with his stick, man. He's getting into everything. He's not letting passes through anywhere. So that was great. Obviously, you have the guys that have been doing it for a while now with like LOC. Cogliano got it on it the other night. The only problem I have there is 13 power plays to the other team in 3 games is too many. You've got to stay out of the box a little bit.
The PK last night, 6 shots on goal in 8 minutes.
Pretty good.
And a shorthanded goal. Arguably the number 1 driving force in winning the game last night.
Yep.
Because you think about, okay, sure, they have a power play in the first period. It's whatever. They don't score. It's not really a needle mover because it doesn't score. But then second period, they have back-to-back power plays.
Yeah.
They have that Manson tripping and then the MacKinnon interference, which I was really surprised at how many people were like.
No, that was pretty clear interference. Call.
The 3 of us were like, come on, it's interference. I was really surprised how many people did not like that call.
And sorry, were you?
Yeah, but like, so they killed back-to-back.
Yeah.
I think there were 13 seconds of 5v5 time. So it's essentially, you essentially have 4 straight minutes of PK time in that second period.
Yeah.
They kill it. And then, they slowly start to find their game after that.
Yeah.
And then third period, it's a 2-1 game. Cogliano goes to the box. You kill it. And that's, for me, I think that was the key situations. That it's not just that the PK has been perfect. Obviously, that helps. Great. But situationally, they have happened in moments that change games on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They give up a goal when they're down 1-0. They give up a power play goal, and it becomes 2-0. That the hill just doubled that you're trying to climb to tie the game and get back into it.
Opposite of a silver lining.
We're going back to the plumbers now?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, because I think, you're usually talking about the penalty bronze divot. A silver lining, hey, they took a bunch of penalties, but the PK was actually good. I think in some of these games, you're looking at it as the opposite of, the PK was great, but boy, do they need it too much.
Yeah. There's been too many penalties.
And there's a saying, it's a stupid saying, but you want to know how to kill penalties? Just don't take penalties, right? I mean, and that's what you were just saying, and I agree with that. And then in the one aspect that we haven't talked about, usually your best penalty killer when you're penalty killing is great is your goaltender. Right?
That's absolutely been
He's
true,
been
yeah.
outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
He's been outstanding, and it's great because it's good for him and it's good for the PK. If you look at last year, they had a horrible start, right? Those first 2-3 games on the PK, and then your numbers are such a so small sample, and it's so big, and you're like, oh my God, we're never going to come out of this thing, looking at numbers. But PKs do get together in the locker room, PPs, and all that stuff. And there's a friendly rivalry on the ice too during practice. I can tell you, like Logan O'Connor goes hard against the PP, and it makes them better, vice versa. But it's fun to see that they can look at numbers right now and say, hey, knock on wood, we're perfect. And then, again, like we just talked about, Georgiev's been outstanding, correct?
I floated the idea that he might be well on his way already to becoming the second best Avs goalie ever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I read that today.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
Always
lot
to
of
go.
work to do,
Obviously,
but
wasn't like the actual underlying statistics.
So
and stuff,
Kolesnik won. And then,
yeah, of course,
kidding.
naturally.
Phil
But
Sauvé.
at least ignore number two, whatever you want. You take a look in the past decade, and you have some solid seasons in there. Grubauer has a couple of solid seasons. Kemper's regular season was very, very good in the Cup year. And, Georgiev is right in that range. This only season that really is substantially better than last year from Georgiev would be Varley's 13-14, where he posted a 927.
Yeah.
And when you start the season like Georgiev has started this one, a long way to go. But hey, that number is not impossible.
Yeah, 4 goals in 3 games is pretty good.
Yeah.
And he looks so confident. It's. I mean, he's got the best feet in the league in my book. He's on top of that crease. He knows exactly where he's at, and his feet are second to none. And you want to be a good goalie in this league nowadays. If your feet are good, it's a biggest thing. It's like players in skating. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't skate, you can't play. Well, it's kind of starting to be a little bit of the same thing with goalies. You know what I mean? And when I say skate, is be agile on your feet, post to post, and inside the blue paint. This guy is unbelievable to look at, and it's too bad on that first goal because he over pushes just a little bit too far up, and then his skate, does not hit the post, and then he just overcommit, and then he's like, I'm in no man's land, and then he tries to readjust, and then
And then he's straight up on an angle, and it's like,
guys can shoot in this league, right? So it's like,
especially that one.
which leads to, we were talking pregame yesterday, and AJ was being like, boxing promoter excellence, and wanted something. I'm just kidding. He wanted, and he's right. He's right. I
love boxing.
I know
He does.
He was being the promoter, but you talk about last year. A play that went unsettled, right, and then Cogliano ends up breaking his neck, and I think it was important and it's not promoting violence. I think it's just important sticking up to each other, sticking up for each other, for teammates, and who better than Logan O'Connor last night to set the tone for the game. You knew they were going to win just after that. You knew that the game was in the bag.
I like what Jared Bednar had to say, where he said,
Yeah.
I thought it would get us into the game a little bit better. And instead, they proceeded to spend the next 18 and a half minutes kind of getting run a little. But, yeah, I mean, that's, again, we talk about culture all the time on this pod for a reason. Yeah. It's the tightness. It's the way that the Avs play for one another and not for themselves. And you see that, hey, yeah, last year might be last year, but there was unfinished business with that team last night. And it's safe to say that the Avs finished it, and it's fine. And now they move on. They will see each other 2 more times in the next handful of weeks. And then hopefully, things go a certain way. See them in the postseason again. They can really settle that thing. So, I felt like last night was cathartic in that we can really move on from last year. It felt like okay, they got their shot early. They did it in their building. They spoil their home opener. They get the fight with Eberle. He takes it. They walk out of there. They finish with the 3-0 road trip. You can't get any better than that. You've given up 4 goals in 3 games. Your star players look like your star players. Cale Makar has points in all 3 games. Guy's on his way to maybe winning the Hart. Sorry, Nate. Only 79 more games to determine it. But, and you kind of add all of it up, and you're like, last year's. It's so over.
In the past.
It's it's done. We can move on from it really kind of emotionally as well. And just put it to bed. And now the focus is Chicago.
The smallest nitpick of all time here, but the one other thing I would say is the Avs have had a very casual schedule here, 2 days off after every game. They have won all their games. They've been dominant in all of their third periods, which is great. But be nice, especially when you start to get in the swing of the season, maybe give yourself a couple easy games, ones where you don't have to grind it out to the final buzzer.
Yeah.
And that's where the power play comes in handy, right?
Yep.
You get that 1 or 2 extra power play goals, and next thing you know, instead of being in a 1-1 dogfight or down 1-0 in San Jose dogfight, you're actually up 2-1. It's a different game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then they're the ones that have to press the game to try to get back and at you, and then things open up, and next thing you know, you're up 3-4, 5, 6-1, and like you said, it's an easier path to a 60 minutes, and it adds up at the end of the year. It does.
Those fractions of a percent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was nice, though. It's kind of like what you were saying, the Vegas Golden Knights this year, the Avalanche the year before. You have that Stanley Cup. That's how you talk about it. Then you have the raise, the banner raising, and then it's like, okay, great, awesome, we're done. Let's move on to this season. And I think you're right. This Seattle thing, it's been a thorn on their side. Obviously with the playoffs last year and even last night. I mean, those guys play the Avs well. They don't give them. I don't think Nate and Mikko like playing the Seattle Kraken.
I don't think so. Yep.
Lots of teams should take a page out of their book and then how to play those guys. But, somehow they are elite players, and, you're going to have an off night, and they had some sort of an off night, but they still produced. And then, and then, and that's the beauty of this.
Hey, look, when your worst game of the season so far is still a win, you're doing pretty good.
That's right. And then our show's been brought to you by Hero Bread. Hero Bread is our new sponsor that makes bread for people focused on nutrition. The bread has high fiber and ultra net carbs with 0 grams of sugar. I like that. While having fewer calories than the leading national brands, Hero makes sliced breads, buns, and tortillas that are available on hero.co or from Amazon. Right now, Hero Bread is offering the DNVR fam 10% off their first order. Just go to hero.co and use our code DNVR to save on Hero Bread today. That is HERO.co to save 10% today. Also brought to you by Bet365. A Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. It's like the Avalanche.
On their good days.
On their good days. Every touchdown, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Get a better price on chosen markets for select games with Bet365 Boosts or Bet365 Super Boosts. You can even get in on our very own custom bet. Keep an eye out each week for new bets on bet365.com. Ride with DNVR and place your bets using code DNVR365 at sign up. Must be 21 and over and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone know that has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. So that is 1-800-GAMBLER. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Well, let's get into maybe a little bit of top 5 here.
Oh, baby.
Are we good to
Bet365
go?
top 5.
Yes, Bet365 top 5 to keep going with the ad read. So today it's about top 5 NHL arena atmospheres.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I don't think Ball Arena's going to make the list.
Ooh, maybe you're wrong.
We'll see.
Right.
I don't think it deserves to be the top 3 for sure. I'll put it that way. But
Yeah, all right. Ooh.
in the playoffs, maybe a little different story.
Yeah. But that's all part of it, right? All right. So let's start with number 5. I'm gonna go with TD Bank Center. This is a place I love. The original 6 feel. I love being there back then. Obviously, the old Boston Garden and been gone for a long time. But TD Bank, it's fun, and they have that song of "Welcome Back, TD Bank Center." And it's just so nice and so loud, and they have that "Welcome Back to Boston," whatever that song. I'm not a good singer, but
Yeah, the Dropkick Murphys.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like, it's awesome with Pasternak and Marchand and Bergeron and all the histories, and they had that 100-year celebration last week. So Bobby Orr and all those guys were in there. It was amazing. So.
Does every Canadian just love the city of Boston?
Oh,
That's
I
what
do.
it feels
It's
like.
my favorite, my favorite city, man. I do. I love it. Obviously, I love Colorado, but I'm saying
what-
non-Colorado, Denver city.
Is it like a 4-hour drive from Toronto?
From Montreal, it's less than 5 hours. Yeah.
Okay, so
you're right there.
even less than from Toronto.
Yeah,
Pretty
Toronto's a
nice.
little further. Yeah. What's
Living
that?
on the East Coast where all the cities are just next to each other.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different.
No major city.
But
within
hey,
like
if you've
8
never been,
hours.
go there. It's awesome. Awesome. I mean, it's a great place to watch a hockey game, and they've been lucky, obviously, with the Bruins there the last few years that are always at the top, or in the playoffs, right? So, all right, number 4, we are going with my hometown, the Bell Center in Montreal. It's awesome. It's something very special. Their game ops for me is probably the best game ops in the NHL, and it's. There's something they say about the ghosts of the Forum, Montreal Forum, that went down the street to the Bell Center, and
Yeah.
you see those banners of all those Stanley Cups and all those retired numbers. And again, it's a little like Boston's, those original 6 buildings, and there's a lot of history. And compared to baseball, it's probably the Yankees and all that kind of stuff, which is nice. You know what I mean? But you go in there, it is a show. It is special. The press box, they got the best hot dogs in the history of the NHL. It's not even close. And they're just everywhere. I mean, they are everywhere on that press box. And I tell you, if you're a scratch on that night as a player and the game ends and in the change room there's not 200 hot dogs there for the fellas, then you're going to get fined by the other guys. Because everyone knows if you're a scratch, you got to make sure you get the dressing room attendants to go get the Chien show.
Is Toronto on this list?
Not
Okay,
quietest
good.
building
Good.
in the NHL.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, no.
Wine and cheese crowd.
Right.
No.
It's interesting to see
It's
that
so different. It's
the
different.
Canadians
Yeah.
have kept like an actual passionate fan base
Yeah.
that shows up to the rink compared to a Toronto where the entire lower bowl is just suits.
I'd say Montreal's more like a European feel. You know what I mean? Like, those European crowds, right?
Hooligans?
Like the German ones that sing the
they
entire
sing,
game. Yeah.
and, obviously, like
all
they're
of
into
the ones that sing all the time.
ole, ole, they're still into that. You know what I mean? Which is fine. We're still doing the wave there in Montreal. But, again.
I am so jealous of Montreal's fan base.
Yeah, it's.
I look at them with such envy because that passion and the way that it dominates the whole city.
Yeah.
Like, from a media perspective, I get why it's a challenge for players, and I don't mind that that's not part of the atmosphere in Colorado. But
imagine
that kind of fan base and that level of passion and
Yeah.
that love, I have all the love for the Habs.
don't get me wrong, Denver's a great sports city, but
Oh, it's awesome.
the only team that gets close to that level in Denver is the Broncos.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
You can't just walk down any street in Denver and start talking about the Avs and people pipe up about it. It's
The number of all the medical stuff I've done over the last 6 months, the number of times that I've had what do you do for a living? And then they're like, oh, what's the Avalanche? And I'm like,
oh boy.
they want us. It's fine. Can't imagine that conversation ever happens in Montreal more than once or twice.
Yeah.
So,
Are you over the age of 5?
right.
You probably know the Canadians.
Right. At least, even if you weren't a hockey person, you're probably not baffled by, oh, yeah, I cover the Canadiens. You know, it's like.
Canadians. And then we go to number 3. Number 3, and this is where Rudo's wrong.
I don't agree. I just
think
don't
it's all
agree.
right. It's all right. I just thought that run 2 years ago was fantastic, and it was just so unbelievable to be in that building. And all the small things, and everyone singing and being so cool and electric, and guys from outside that are not there every night, from TNT guys to, whatever, bless you, but coming in saying like, oh my God, this is electric in here. You know what I mean? It's so amazing. It's bananas.
And I do want to give some credit there. Yeah. When the big moments happen, Colorado absolutely shows out. Cale Makar's first ever goal in the playoffs was one of the loudest things I think that has ever happened. But I also judge it.
I was sitting next to Evan for that. And we just started laughing because we were trying to talk to each other.
Yeah.
We were sitting this far apart. Couldn't even come close to hearing one another. We just gave up. We were like, no.
From showing out to the playoffs and things like that, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I do also remember 16-17 when the building was empty.
But I agree. I'm talking about now, though. I mean, for me, right now, it's so good.
When you lose 60 games, man.
And I think, game ops, like Steve Johnson does a great job there at Ball Arena. I think things like that go a little bit unnoticed, at times. But I think they're fabulous, and they've really captured the last couple of years. I don't disagree to 16, 17, things like that.
The last 2 years, it's been a lot better, too. Before the Avs really came to fruition in this core and won their cup and kind of established a new fan base of hockey fans in Colorado. The late 2010s and early 2010s, even worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
Denver's a pretty big transplant city. There are a lot of people that bring allegiances from other teams to this city.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I don't disagree.
Every single sports fan in this city, like of a Denver sports team, whines about some city.
Yep.
In whatever sport they go to events, it doesn't matter. It's started even happening at Broncos games the last handful of years, where it's just like the number of people who are in the building is frustrating.
Both the Blackhawks and the Cubs have done it forever.
The best part about the Blackhawks being bad is that it chilled.
Yeah.
Like they relaxed.
Yep.
And now that Bedard is back, like I guarantee you, there's going to be 1,000 Connor Bedard jerseys there tomorrow.
And that's why I don't have that. For me, as a player, one of my favorite places was to go to Chicago. I played in the Chicago Stadium before the United. Is it still called United Center? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
This is kind of a tangent, but whatever. It's an off-day show. We can do what we want. As a player, what did you think of like some of the things like Nashville has implemented in previous years, where they will only sell playoff tickets to local addresses and things like that?
No, I don't like that, to be honest with you. And I'm going to cover it. You know what? I'll cover it at number one. And you'll see it.
There you go.
And again, Nashville, another fun building too. But number two, I got to go somewhere where I played a lot of games there, but world's most famous arena. And the setting on Broadway above Penn Station.
Just too much lore to be denied in that building, right?
Yeah. It's just amazing. And then obviously the renovations the last few years, but it is the Rangers. And I think a lot of atmosphere has a lot to do with goal songs. And I just love their goal song. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's fun, and the people get into it, and it's the Rangers, it's the history. Again, a little bit original six heavy on those things, but 3 out of 4 right now. But there is a sentimental. Whoa, way to go! The French came out. Sentimental values to some fans there too. Right, with the history, and it's just nice to see. And again, a lot goes with game ops, and you know what? Kudos to the Rangers. It is MSG, and it's tough to fight. Number one though for me, and that's where I'll cover it, is Vegas. You're talking about game ops, you're talking about atmosphere, you're talking about, like, I tell you, like, scouts, like, before games, like, you're just kind of sitting there on the press box, and you might fall asleep, and, like, oh my God, but then you're there, and it's like, the table's shaking, and you're like, oh my God, the sound system's going, and you're like, this is going to be an epic night, and, their game ops, and it is amazing, and it's so fun, and it's exciting, and this is where I was going to talk about the point you brought up about Nashville. Like, what's great about that place is every night there's 3,000-4,000 people that are rooting for the other team. Let's say they're playing Edmonton. There's 3,000-4,000 orange jerseys, and then the banter starts outside before the game, and it's awesome, and it brings that electric atmosphere, and then you go in there, and hockey brings people together. You know what I mean? Right? I mean, for most places, unless you're AJ and you get in a fight, in Dallas somewhere, but you know what I mean, in the parking lot. Yeah, whatever. AJ's a bruiser. You know what I mean? He's like LOC Junior.
I'll scrap.
Yeah, but it's. I think it's what it does. I don't agree with those policies of not letting fans from other teams. I don't like that.
It's soft.
What's that?
I said it's soft.
Yeah, I think it's soft. It's like a little hook and call, like like in the. It's like, come on, I mean, they barely touched them, so you got to toughen up a little bit and let anybody in that building, and
I love the Vegas building. It's my favorite road arena that I've ever seen a game in.
Yep.
But I think part of what you're talking about that takes away from it, take a look at MSG and the Rangers. Yep. And when you don't have those other fans, a little bit of ribbing, a little bit of chirping, you lose some of that organic, natural history that gets built, some, things like that. The Potvin sucks chant is what I'm getting at with the whistle.
That's crazy. It still goes on.
Stuff like that arises from, hey, chirping the other team's fans a little bit. And it's all in good fun, but you have to... Things need to form organically to really create that lore and history behind a team, behind a building.
Right. Yep.
Similar to the way the Avs of this generation have the sing along with Blink-182.
Yep.
You're kind of missing a little bit of that, I think, if you're not letting other fans in the building.
I also feel like the Nashville thing feels so forced.
Yeah,
like we get it.
I
It's like a
agree.
country music town, but your goal song. You score a goal and it immediately fires up, and you're like, "This sounds ridiculous." And all the chanting at the goalie and stuff. It all feels very minor league. Like that's stuff that I did at Arrows games.
Yeah.
I'm also like programmed by default that if you throw a sea creature on the ice, I hate your team. So
yeah, don't be weird.
But anyway, that wraps up our Bet365 top 5, right?
That atmosphere in Vegas really is crazy, though.
Yeah.
To sit in that press box and feel and watch my laptop just vibrate.
Oh, yeah.
It was wild.
And it's so Vegas too, right? They put on a show. It's all
it's
theatrics.
so corny, man. They've got the night out at center ice, and
It's my buddy, Lee.
that first year, especially where he's like pulling the sword out of the stone.
Yeah.
He's like he
Fighting
slays
dudes.
the mascot of the other team, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Lee was a Kings fan tonight for years. That's where I know him from.
Well, and you remember the first 2 years? I don't know if they still do it, but those first couple of years, they had fans that had been fans of other teams, that lived there now, that were like denouncing their
They would take their
allegiance.
jerseys off.
Yeah, they take the jersey off, and then it was just
cool.
all so Vegas.
And the
It
penalty,
was so Vegas.
Right, the penalty kill ends, and it's like you hear the slot machines, right?
Yeah, their goal announcement and Minnesota's goal announcement being the same thing, just with the slot machine, pisses me off.
Is Mini the same one, dude?
It's
if you
super
listen
similar,
to him and you listen to the PA
Mini's
guy and
another
everything,
fun building too. I mean, it is. I mean, I don't like to give him props, but it's a fun building there.
everything
too.
about that building sucks. Its location, its fans, its home team, the sight lines, everything about it. Its press box is fine, I guess. It's big and empty because who gives a shit?
I guess your Islanders aren't in that heinous building anymore, so you're allowed to say that now.
I haven't been in the new one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually don't
old one
know.
was great.
Well, yeah, I thought Nassau was actually.
It's awesome.
I mean, it got run down at the end.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was a super nice building when I was
Its
younger.
filth was its charm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we can talk about maybe a little bit about the Eagles, right? The Eagles started their season last weekend.
Wasn't great.
Wasn't great, right? Couple in Grand Rapids, couple losses, and Megan is not here today because she's trying to get over herself of those 2 losses by the Eagles.
Yeah.
And
Just distraught.
she's distraught. She's
recovering by
she's
dunking
recovering.
on the CHGO podcast right now.
I'm just kidding. We like to give Megan. She does a great job.
She loves covering the AHL, so it's fitting that she's talking Blackhawks today.
Yeah.
Got him.
Oh, there we go. There we go. But anyway, I mean, sounds like they're coming home this weekend and got a couple home games, and be nice to get back on track. Sounds like Eustace is going to be playing, right? Annunen. So
We were right about
so.
that part of the swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent Onanen and Tufty back down, which is great, and then Caleb Jones is still just down there.
Yep.
well, we'll see what happens.
All right.
when these guys get back, and there'll be a lot of movements, right? At some point, they're listening. Bednar's gonna.
Look, for my money, if Jack Johnson just keeps playing this way, he can't continue.
Yeah.
Well,
It looks worse than last year.
Let's be honest. There's too many defensemen down with the Eagles anyway.
Yeah.
You're rotating
Yeah.
Nathan Clerman and Wyatt Amott down there right now, which, however you feel about those guys, they're very solid AHL defensemen.
Well, and Nate Clerman was a guy that Jared Bednar specifically was like, look, he put himself on our radar for a call-up this year. Game 2 of the season, he's a healthy scratch because you're rotating
in
7
the
defenders.
AHL, yeah.
And it's like, man, this is the stuff about this organization that drives you insane.
Yep.
A guy has a good season last year. He builds this momentum towards maybe breaking
Has the
in
good
and
training
being
camp that you'd want to see.
exactly.
Yeah.
He has the kind of preseason that you're after. He's doing all the things that you want. Yeah, it's taken him half a decade to do. He's like 25 now, but at the same time, like he's got his momentum.
Yeah.
And then
you put a brick wall in front of him.
Yeah, exactly. You're stopping it for what reason? Exactly. And that's the stuff that really frustrates me.
Yep.
So I would like to, this Caleb Jones thing, man, you're running with 21 guys right now. Why are we doing
He
this?
should just be on the NHL roster.
Just bring him up, get him into the NHL practices, and then again, if Jack Johnson's play just does not get appreciably better, you really need to start having a conversation of, hey, we need to make a change here.
Yep.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit on the show last night. He's lost some of the trust of the coaching staff because he was
barely
fifth.
even PK'd the other night. Yeah.
He was 5th among Avalanche defensemen in PK time on ice with a minute. And it's like, what are we doing here? You lost your PK job to Sam Girard.
I think Sam's been really good.
Me too.
Yeah, he's been great.
That's
But-
nothing to do with right,
but that's the job that Jack Johnson needs to be doing. You're gonna have a third pairing guy that only plays even strength for you.
Tough ask. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so for me, that's my struggle. There is that it needs to get a little bit better, and the sooner you see Caleb Jones, the better, because that is a guy that this is not like a mystery at the NHL level. This is not Sam
He's got,
Malinsky or
like,
even Nate Clerman.
Almost 200 NHL games or something.
Right,
at
like this is a
point,
guy
yeah.
that you're like, he's played
Might
before.
be more than that, actually.
He's shown good numbers, even in roles he probably shouldn't have been in.
Yep.
Where he's getting overplayed on bad teams. So, I don't mean to make Caleb Jones seem like a world beater here. He's a third pairing defenseman, but he can play both sides for you, and he's solid and reliable, and he's fine. He'll have bad nights, but he'll do enough good work.
Well, who also has had bad nights? Jack Johnson. So.
Right. To my money, hasn't had a good night yet. I didn't think he was bad in the San Jose game relative to the other two, but like if that's the level, like, okay, great. You held your own in the Sharks game,
Where the entire team dominated.
frustrated.
Any just to touch up on it for a second, any fun or surprises like you see the last obviously the first 3-4 games in the league?
I didn't think that Tampa would struggle quite this much. I knew there was definitely a possibility for them to be bad. They have no answer for a third goaltender. I don't mean to offend the Tompkins kid, but it's JoJo and JoJo alone until Vasilevsky gets back right now.
Dude's done an admirable job,
Yeah,
too.
he's kept them in games. They got a point out of that Buffalo game the other night.
Wow. I didn't deserve that point.
They did not, but they got it. That's the Tampa way.
Well, and that's how you have to survive till Vasi's back. You steal points. You're going to look back, and if he can get them on games they're going to lose, if he can get them into 5 overtimes, that might be the difference between them making the playoffs and missing this year.
Fun to see the brink. I mean, I hate talking about the Red Wings, but the Brinkat and Larkin.
Yeah, the
doing
Brinkat's
well
popping off for them.
Looking at me like, but it's been fun. And then there's a nice story too in Wash. Matthew Phillips, that was in Calgary.
My guy.
5 years. 5 years. And a Calgary kid got 3 games in 5 years at the NHL level. And AJ's guy there, Mitch Love, gets the assistant coaching job in Washington, puts in a good word for Matthew Phillips. And
Guy that's 5'9".
5'8". If you like him, he's 5'9", but he's 5'8". And
He's 5'9" in my heart.
yeah, 160 pounds. And you know what? He makes the roster because they just we talked about it in training camp here. Like, he forced the Washington Capitals to make decisions, and they kept him. You know what I mean? And then he scored a goal and assist last game, and it's kind of nice. I love. And again, I don't know him, but I love to see stories like this. You know what I mean? It's fun and good on him to stick with it, and
cool to see Tompkins get in that game too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A 7th round pick 11 years ago gets to finally make an NHL debut.
Yeah.
That's great. You love that.
I love to see that around the league, things like that. But anyway, we'll take a little break here. Our show is brought to you by Kind Love. Kind Love is excited to be an official partner of DNVR and support another local brand. We love the Kind Love cannabis so much, we made our very own DNVR joint pack. Tiff can play that video there. She cannot.
Is it only in Studio A? Tragic.
All right, so not today. So we'll pretend that AJ and Rudo are the actors here. Visit one of our stores in Cherry Creek or North Denver. Mention DNVR and receive the DNVR exclusive discount of 25% of all Kind Love flower pre-rolls and their turbo joint line. You can also visit their website at kindlove.com and use that code DNVR for online ordering and their full extensive menu.
No, she does have it. Let's go.
No, she does have it. We don't need Rudo. All right, and then we're also brought to you by Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. If you're still looking for seats for the Avs home opener, which is tomorrow, you can snag them right now on Game Time. You can also get zone deals. You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and rows for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Home opener tomorrow.
That's right.
Bunch of different tickets going for in the $75 range.
There you go.
If you want to sit in club level, those are also available, but they're more like $200.
Club ain't cheap.
Yeah. But also club level of a home opener, the team that's going to win the cup this year.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's a pretty good deal.
It'll be a fun night.
Which leads us to the third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, and let's talk about home opener. Home opener tomorrow. Avalanche coming home. Nathan MacKinnon and the crew 3-0. Great start to the season. What do we expect tomorrow for this Avalanche squad against a Connor Bedard squad with the Blackhawks?
Look, man, I expect no excuses. That's a team you should beat. I don't care that they've started pretty decent this year. I don't care that Taylor Hall's healthy and back. That team's bad. Go show it. I think it's that simple.
I think we're good for today. I mean, honestly, you're right, man. I mean, there's no nonsense. You don't even have to. You get them, but you don't need to worry about matchups with this team.
Yep.
You're better than them. You need to see, just play the game that you did in San Jose. Just score more.
Yep. Puck go net.
Yeah. One of the things that people like us are going to talk about, but I don't know how real it actually is. Connor Bedard's gotten a lot of attention so far this year. And I wonder how the Cale Makars and Nathan MacKinnons of the world are like, all right. Okay.
A little keyed up for that, maybe. Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, okay, cool. You guys get, hey, the kid's great. He's going to have a great career. He's going to be awesome, but
Not yet.
we're the team of today.
Yeah.
And so, I on a night-to-night basis, I think the Avs are trying to remind everybody of that this year. That's kind of their mission is like, y'all sleeping on us a bit. But like home opener, you'd like to see them have that kind of energy like they did last year.
Yep.
And we've seen so many times over the last 5 years that when this team gets on Ball Arena ice and they have a good 5 minutes and they put a goal in and the crowd starts to freak out and you feel the energy, even through a television, you can feel the energy in the building and then you can feel the team pushing and feeding off of it. And that's why we've seen as many of those like game 2, 7-0 over Tampa Bay kind of nights in Ball Arena as we have, is because that it turns into that feedback loop. And this is a team that can just bury somebody.
Chicago, a team pretty fast and loose on the defensive side.
Yeah.
The Avs are coming off a Seattle team that isn't that. And you mentioned it the other night, AJ. Nathan MacKinnon doesn't have 2 bad nights in a row.
Not very often. So, yeah, I would. It's either setting up to be a really disappointing night or a really fun night.
One of the two, yeah.
It does not feel like a close 3-2 game is super likely.
Yep.
The one thing though for the early bid, like people like me that go to bed, it's 8:30.
It is a late
It is
one.
a
Yeah,
late
it is
one
a
again
late
tomorrow.
one.
Even though Avs are home, it is a late start, driven by TV, right? So, but it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to see Connor Bedard. I mean, this kid is. Actually saw him practice like 5 years ago in Vancouver. And somebody said like, "Oh, this is gonna be the first pick," and obviously you look at it and
At
you're
the
like,
time,
"Oh, it's great,
yeah.
awesome," been in Bantam hockey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, great," I mean, that's awesome. He looked good,
You're
but
like, awesome.
it was awesome. But I mean, the fuss has
He's
been
13.
around. Yeah, the fuss has been around that kid, and it's all warranted. He's a good player, and then I think you're right though. They're the Nates and the Mikos. All right. Let's see what you got, because this is what we have and this is what we've done, and I think it'll be interesting. But you can't take anyone lightly, especially in the NHL. And I
think
agree
that
with
helps
Rudo.
though. I think that helps to take that edge off of the fear away from complacency. Is they want to bury the kid.
Yeah. This league is deadly. I mean, there's no friends out there.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to bury one another. And
Well, and I'm sure you could speak to that. You played next to Gretz.
yeah.
Everybody wanted to take a shot at that dude, especially as he got older.
100%. You want to be better, and I think you see that with goalies all the time, right? Anything I can do better, and then or star players, and if you see McDavid against, or look at the history of Crosby and Ovechkin, right? Hat trick, and what I mean, like it's like I can do that too, you know what I mean, and that's what makes this game so fun. And
Yeah, McDavid and MacKinnon. Dude, that is a battle of titans that always delivers.
That's my point. You know what I mean? So now I think if Connor Bedard, that is, wants to measure himself up with best of the best, well, he's got 3 of the top 10 there tonight. I mean, tomorrow night in the league, in Nate and Mikko and Kale, and
Got to assume he's going to get that matchup against Taves and Makar pretty frequently.
I'm super curious how Bedard handles look, Makar's a beast of his own, but an all-world defensive
Taves.
player in Devon Taves. Yeah. How's he gonna match up one-on-one against that guy?
You're gonna try and pull that puck on the inside and shoot through his legs, man. He's gonna poke it away from you.
You watch Taves one hand poke it a couple times against the kid, and he'll be like, "What's up?"
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, did I do that again? Oh, damn." The other side of this is that Bedard drops a hat trick on him, and this is his coming out party, and
like
you're
a
like,
madness.
and you're like, okay, yeah, he's really good, and they lose 4-3.
Yeah.
what about like? I mean, let's play coaches for a couple minutes. Like
You're the coach here.
Yeah, well, yeah, not at all. Let's play coaches, the three of us. Any lineup changes tomorrow?
For my money, I would go back to Lehkonen next to MacKinnon and Rantanen.
I mean,
Nichushkin, Raijo, Duran sounds fun to me.
you're you're trying to get Druin going, right?
Trying to get them all going.
Sure, but I think Druin is the one that is the furthest away from going.
Right, Joe. For me,
You can make that argument.
I would put them
Fine
in
with that.
I would
Whatever.
put them together, man.
Not going to argue on that.
Who together?
Johansson and Duran. I would
Okay.
say that they both need to get it going. They need to gear it up.
So maybe that, I know you said they're not worried about matchups, but maybe that's what you look for. Maybe you put Druin and Ryjo together and you try to hunt sneak him out against a fourth line against a bad team type thing. Say, hey, we're going to give you the best opportunity we can here to get a little confidence out there on the ice.
I'm going to throw something at you. What about a guy like, I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just asking my two
Maybe.
friends. What about a guy like Tatar with Mac
Yeah.
and Mikko?
Saw it a little bit last night. I'm down.
I
Cool with that, too.
don't know if I love it with those two because Mac is such a volume shooter. What Tatar does best is score goals. And anytime Mikko is deferring, I'm just mad about it. So
You want him to take a shot?
in theory, if you had a Ryjo, if you had a Druin going, I'd be down to try with that because those are two facilitators, right? Two guys that could feed someone like a Tatar who can find those soft spots on the ice. But at that point, you're putting three guys that you really feel like none of them are going super well. So don't know if that's a great idea either.
Yeah. I mean, what about on D? Would you do anything? I know you talked about but there's nothing they can do. I mean, as of now.
Yeah, I
With
mean,
the transactions
I don't feel like Byram and Gerard are so good together, have such a lengthy history of being good together. I would personally not mind seeing Gerard with Manson and Byram with Johnson. But I don't really have like a strong objection here. I feel like as long as Jack Johnson's on that defense, you kind of are stuck like this.
To your point, I think if Byram's having a good night, maybe you feel like you could shelter Johnson a little bit more with someone
Yeah.
like him. Whereas there are some shifts with Johnson and Manson together where it's just like, hold on to your butts.
Yeah, and I don't feel like Josh Manson. I feel better, way better about Josh Manson than I did a week ago.
I agree,
I
but
do too.
he's
I
also
didn't feel good.
Yeah.
He's also Josh Manson, good for one or two moments.
Yeah, of course,
you know?
man. Like Josh Manson's always going to have, and there will be like total stinker of games where it's like guy takes two penalties. He plays a significant role in goals against, and you're like,
But he's so different than the other guys. And I agree with you. Last week, I remember we were sitting right here. I was like, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Meaning like
It's
about
a lot
you
of
know, his
worry.
health and, hadn't played a lot in preseason. And just feels good to watch, again, knock on wood. I mean, we didn't hear anything that there's no, nothing.
Yeah,
came
no,
out of it.
haven't.
There's no injuries that we
Yeah,
are.
and it wouldn't change it for the Chicago game, but something to keep an eye on. If Freddie Olofsson continues to be unable to win a faceoff, they got to take a look at something there. I know someone in chat mentioned Peter Holland. That's not going to happen. They're not going to sign him to an
not right
NHL
now,
deal. But that's a guy who you need to function as a bottom six forward, specifically a bottom six center. You got to be able to win some faceoffs, get your team some better possession there.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I think we see number 40 in net again tomorrow night, right? I mean, obviously home opener where, I would be shocked to see anything different than
I mean, we talked about it.
Yep.
They had a great opportunity to let
in San Jose.
somebody else play in San Jose. I wouldn't mess with it. Yeah,
Get your
let him
home
play.
opener followed by Carolina.
The
You're just
guy's on
rolling,
fire.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Especially now, like he's on fire. I'm gonna let that ride.
Yep.
No, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't, I wouldn't change it. He's sneaking in my top 5 in the league right now. We said it last night. He's top 10, but he's sneaking in my top 5. I really
The arrow's
like
pointing
him.
up.
I really like him. Wow, what a pickup. Again, we're talking about the Bontes last 3-4 years. Can't forget about Georgiev, that trade a couple years ago.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's one that you'll look back and say, some GMs around the league are going to want to, hurt themselves or, punch each other and not feel good about it. And maybe they're going to need to call Bacchus and Schenker. You know what I mean? Like, see, and then, and then they could call Bacchus and Schenker at 222-2222 today for a free consultation. When you get hurt, Bacchus and Schenker is here to help. Bacchus and Schenker helps with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. We can even help if you're injured at work. There's no upfront fee to speak with us about your case. No fee while we work on your case. No fee unless we win your case and win money for you. Call the 2 number to find out if you have a case for free. Bacchus and Shanker wins. Maybe Megan should call Bacchus and Shanker. She got bumped into her car the other day. Also brought to you by Foco. Foco is the leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment and merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. It has the best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. And many of the bobbleheads and decorations you see on set are Foco originals. Foco always has our back for Colorado sports, and they have yours as well. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code DNVR for 10% off. Leads us to the boys were back late last night. They had a day off today, getting acclimated back to home life and get themselves back to, business like feeling to get to that home opener tomorrow. Any final thoughts on that one tomorrow?
Yeah, what's it like when Devon Taves walks into his front door? Because he signs his contract on the road.
Hasn't come home since the money bag dropped.
Exactly. So, like, what's that conversation like?
That they're
Is
buying.
there a conversation?
They're buying the Bugatti. What are those things called? Carousel for the baby in the crib.
Nice.
Yes. And then maybe maybe
be awesome.
his family will be mad that how much it cost them this week on the road for I'm sure a heavy meal that the guys were.
Don't look at the credit card statement. Just
And
don't do that.
and it's like, here you go. You go see that guy, and he's paying for it. That's how usually it is, right? In the NHL, which is all fun and games. And
I always just wonder about stuff like that. Like he's going through. Like, did he and his wife have that conversation of like, yeah, we definitely want to stay in Colorado. Are you cool giving up $15 million so we can stay here?
I think it's awesome.
And it's like, you're getting 50 already, right?
I think we're good.
Like, are we okay? Or as a couple, are we okay with that? Like, I would love to know what those conversations are like of like, hey, this is a huge money deal anyway.
Yeah.
But
how much money do you think you could spend?
how much time do I have? This is always if you had one day to spend as much money as you could, how much could you spend? And I'm always like, oh no, not that much.
Yeah, the answer is not enough.
Yeah, like not nearly as much as you would think.
Well, I mean, there's a limit that he sat with his wife and his agent, and this is what I'm willing to do, and then if we get more, but again, I think it's what he did was he really meant what he preached. And it was awesome. He said he wanted to remain an Av, and obviously you want to do that. There's sacrifices to be made when it comes to dollars and cents because they're a good team, and you have to take some sort of a discount, and he did. And I just raised my hat to him, and I raised my hat to C-Mac and those guys in the front office because that was a win-win for everybody.
Getting that guy on a $7 million contract is such,
feels dirty.
It honestly, it really, dude. Even now, I've looked at it a couple of times, and I'm like. Because if you look at the contract comparables on Cap Friendly, you go through, you just click compare this contract and it brings up the list.
Yeah.
The guys on most of those deals didn't age very well, but none of them were as good as Taves. So it's like
you're looking at I think Vlasic was one of the closest comparables. This is
such a weird. And Vlasic was a one-dimensional defenseman. He was a defensive defenseman, and as soon as his defense started to slip,
that was it.
He did not bring value to the ice anymore.
1 year, 40-point season.
So
I think.
It was.
Well, if you're the Avs, did you not use Cale Makar as a bargaining chip in this? Did not have Makar call up Taves and be like, "Hey, buddy, don't you want to play next to me for the rest of your career?"
I mean, I think that probably naturally happened. Where it was,
I know,
but players respect that business side, right? Where you guys stay out of each other's business, and it's like, hey, you do what you got to do. You have to do what's best for your family. Obviously, we'd love to have you here. We'd love to make it work. But if the team's only offering you $50 million and you think you're gonna get 70 in free agency, I completely would how many of us would actually be upset about that?
No.
To be like, okay, like if the Athletic called tomorrow and offered Rudo $150,000 a year. And Rudo called me and was like, "Hey, I really would love to stay, but I mean, come on."
It literally changes my life.
I would be like, brother, I get it. Like, you got to do, I'm gonna miss you. It's gonna really suck, but come on. And we're talking chump change compared to what.
Yeah.
We're talking Devon Taves might have left a legit somewhere between $10 and $20 million on the table.
And I think that. I compare it to something completely different. I use pain tolerance. Some guys can play with pain, some guys can't. And some guys are okay with money and some guys are, everybody's different. You know what I mean? And everybody's like different situations, different upbringing, different anything. And, I don't think guys judge each other. And that's why I say you don't judge each other with your pain tolerance, because some guys can do it and some guys can't, because then you're going to go out there and stink and, might as well just don't play, And it's the same thing with contracts. I think guys respect that, hey, it's my one shot. I want to go for as much dollar and cents that I can get, then so be it. You know what I mean? And
we saw that 2 years in a row here in Colorado with both the Avalanche and Nuggets. The Avs win the chip. Everybody wanted Nazem Kadri to come back.
Yeah.
Nazem Kadri wanted to come back.
Yeah.
But the money it was too good elsewhere.
Yep.
And the same thing just happened with the Nuggets and Bruce Brown.
Yep.
They would have loved to have him come back, but when he got the offer that he did, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You're talking about guys who have been on really good value deals for years in their careers, finally got paid. And so for it to see it work, because we had talked about the challenges, for a year we've talked about the challenges of Devon Taves staying in Colorado, because it was probably going to cost between $8 and $10 million somewhere, roughly in that. He was always kind of a hard contract valuation for a lot of reasons, but the Avs doing the deal that they did, it's really hard to feel like they did not smash that.
Yeah. I mean, I think this, makes us very excited about tomorrow, and we appreciate everybody watching our show. And then obviously give us a like, follow us on YouTube. And also don't forget to watch the postseason wrap-up for the Rapids on YouTube with Mitch, Yaya, and Dwayne.
You guys saw Mitch on the watch-along last night.
Yeah. Don't forget to watch their wrap-up, right, as the Rapids season.
Thank God it's over.
One more game, but they did their wrap-up, right? So
yeah, they will. That's a good group that has had to have. They've had a tough year.
Yeah,
covering that Rapids team. So go give them some love.
Well, anything else? Left side, right side.
That's all I got.
Off. Are you on your off side right now? Right side. You're a lefty.
I'm a righty. He's the lefty.
Right side. You're a righty. You're on your left side.
We're in our proper positions.
We're good.
You're
I've
the
never
one that's a
played center.
misfit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never
exactly.
played center.
Rudo's in
You don't want
your
to see
spot.
me play center, but it's fine.
I'll do it.
But let's.
It will go
The
poorly.
defenseman's going to play center.
It's fine.
It's going to look like Josh Manson out there taking face-offs.
He was one of my duds last night.
That face-off?
No,
that was the breakaway
move.
brigade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He will not be the third shooter.
Well, no, that's right. He solidified that he will not get back out there when it's a shootout. That is for sure.
It would have to be 15 rounds. Just based on what we saw from Jack Johnson a couple of years ago versus Josh Manson, I might go with Jack Johnson in a shootout.
I might look at Prosvetov before I
Yeah, it'd be
move with Josh
great.
Manson.
It'd be great.
Would that be the ultimate power move? To send out your backup goalie to
To
shoot?
take a shot, yeah.
Are you
I don't even
allowed
know if
to?
you're allowed.
I don't know.
I don't know why you...
But it'd be fun though if the Avs are so far ahead in the standings that, and then you have a couple games left and then there's a shootout. Then you're like, yep, okay, let's see what we got.
You're like, look, we're 10 rounds in. Everybody wants to go home.
Yeah.
Just send somebody out there.
All right. Well, with that said, we'll see you tomorrow. And then tomorrow is obviously our regular pregame, right? Which is an 8:30 game.
So it'll be an 8 o'clock
8 o'clock pregame and then postgame. So we will see you tomorrow. And thanks for watching. It was awesome.
We all silly like the mayor.